Imagine waking up to economic headlines that just seem terrifying, right? You see conflicts overseas, rising inflation, completely unpredictable markets, and you realize most people have absolutely no idea what any of it means for their money. But you do. You're here because you want to get ahead of the curve, you want to understand what's really going on, and you want to protect your financial future. And listen, if you want clear, simple videos that help you make smarter decisions in this changing world, just take 1 second right now to subscribe. Welcome back to Invest Education Hub, your trusted source for learning how to invest smarter and build that long-term wealth.
This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Always do your own research and consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
And that right there is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It seriously feels like the world is spinning faster than ever, and the old rules about money just don't seem to apply anymore. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed, to look at the headlines and think it's all just chaos. But here's the good news. You don't have to figure it all out alone. This explainer is designed to be your roadmap, a way to cut through the noise, connect the dots, and actually find the real opportunities that are hiding inside all this volatility.
Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to break this all down into 5 key areas. We'll start with the big picture, the huge global forces like geopolitics and inflation that are literally reshaping our world. Then, we're going to zoom in on the crazy disruptive power of technology and the massive shifts happening in our global supply chains. And then, this is the best part, we'll bring it all together into a practical, actionable investment playbook for 2026. Think of it as a journey from understanding the problems to building your personal action plan. First up, the geopolitical chessboard. For a long time, a lot of investors treated politics as just background noise, something that happens over there. Well, that has fundamentally changed. Today, economics isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet anymore. It's about global strategy, it's about alliances, and yes, it's about conflicts. So here's the bottom line. You simply cannot separate your investment strategy from what's happening on the world stage anymore. A surprise election in a major oil-producing country, for example, can have a more immediate, a more direct impact on your portfolio than a company's own quarterly earnings report. Look, this isn't about becoming a political scientist. It's about being an informed investor who gets the new landscape and understands the forces that are moving the pieces around. Now, what's really fascinating here is just how connected all of these drivers are. Think about it. When a major shipping lane like the Red Sea gets disrupted, it doesn't just mean a delay in your next Amazon package. No, it also cranks up the global competition for all the resources on that ship, like the lithium we need for batteries. And then, when emerging superpowers cut new trade deals, it can completely reroute those shipping lanes and totally shift the balance of power in that resource game. You see, these aren't separate issues. They're all part of the same incredibly complex global chessboard, and every single move affects every other piece. And that quote just nails it, doesn't it? The flow of capital, of goods, of energy, it's now completely tied to the flow of power and influence. Understanding this connection is absolutely the first step to investing smarter in this new era. It means you've got to look beyond the balance sheet and start understanding the bigger game that's being played, because that's what's truly driving the markets now. Okay, let's shift gears to our next big section, which is really a direct result of all that geopolitical craziness: inflation. And this isn't some abstract idea for economists to argue about. Oh no, this is a direct and very personal challenge to your financial well-being. We're calling it the silent tax on your future, and for a very, very good reason. So what is it really? Well, at its core, inflation just means your dollar tomorrow will buy less than it does today. It's a silent tax because it slowly chews away at the value of your savings and your paycheck without ever sending you a bill. Imagine your savings account as a bucket of water. Inflation is like a tiny, invisible leak at the bottom. The water level is always going down, slowly but surely, even if you don't see it happening day to day. That's inflation, just eating away at your purchasing power. Now, to fight this, central banks raise interest rates. But here's the crucial takeaway from this chart. Even as inflation hopefully comes back down to earth, we are not going back to those near zero interest rates we all got used to. We're stepping into a new normal of higher borrowing costs. And this changes the math for everything, from buying a house to starting a business. The era of cheap money, it's over. And that has massive consequences for everyone. And this slide really shows that squeeze perfectly. On one side, for a lot of people, wages just aren't keeping up with how expensive everything's getting. On the other side, the cost to borrow money for the big things in life, it's going up.
Your mortgage payment is higher, your credit card interest is higher, that new car loan is way more expensive. This is the financial pressure that millions of households are feeling right now, caught between a rock and a hard place. But, and this is important, you are not powerless. This isn't just about playing defense, it's about going on offense. Let's look at 4 real, actionable steps to protect and even grow your wealth. A high-yield savings account makes your emergency cash work for you instead of just losing value to that invisible leak. Investing consistently in broad index funds lets your money outrun inflation over the long term. Avoiding high-interest debt is absolutely critical in this environment, and locking in fixed-rate loans, that protects you from any future rate hikes. This is your personal playbook for fighting back. All right, let's pivot to our third major theme, technology. You know, if geopolitics and inflation are the challenges we have to navigate, then technology is the massive wave of opportunity we can choose to ride. It's a force of disruption that's creating entire new industries while completely turning old ones upside down. And right at the front of this whole thing is artificial intelligence. The most important thing to grasp here is the sheer mind-bending speed of this revolution. The Industrial Revolution, that unfolded over decades. The Internet Revolution, that took years. The AI revolution is happening in months. It's not just another new tool, it's a fundamental rewiring of how businesses operate, creating efficiencies and possibilities that we are just barely beginning to understand. And AI is just one piece of the puzzle. These right here are the key battlegrounds where the economic future is being decided. The nations and the companies that lead in AI and automation, they won't just have a productivity edge, they will redefine entire industries. The ones that dominate green energy will literally power the 21st century. And these technologies that sound like science fiction, like quantum computing and biotech, they are attracting billions in investment because they hold the promise to revolutionize everything, from how we cure diseases to how we secure our data. Now, this is a really, really important point. The immediate fear with any new technology, especially AI and automation, is always about jobs. Will a robot take my job? And while sure, some roles will definitely become obsolete, history shows us again and again that technology ultimately creates more jobs than it destroys. The key word here is shift. It's a call to action. It's about adapting, it's about learning new skills, and it's about positioning yourself to rise with this technological tide, not get swept away by it. The world is changing faster than ever, and these technological shifts are right at the heart of it. Staying ahead of them is absolutely crucial, not just for your investments, but for your career. And hey, if you're getting value from this breakdown, just take a quick moment to subscribe. We're constantly tracking these trends, so you'll never miss an update that could affect your portfolio. All right, let's talk about our fourth section. We've all basically had a crash course in supply chains recently, whether we wanted one or not. I mean, the empty shelves and the out-of-stock notices a few years ago were a pretty painful lesson that the way we made and moved stuff around the world was incredibly fragile. And that has forced a complete fundamental rethinking of global manufacturing. This timeline really tells the whole story, doesn't it? For decades, the goal was simple: make things as cheaply as you possibly can, no matter where in the world that was. That created these super efficient, but also super fragile globalized supply chains. Then came the disruption, and we all learned a painful lesson. So now we're in this reassessment phase. The future isn't about just in time anymore. It's about just in case. It's about building systems that can actually withstand shocks, which very often means bringing production a lot closer to home. So how do companies actually build this resilience? Well, this right here is the new playbook. Diversification means you stop relying on a single country or a single supplier for a critical part. Then there's friendshoring. You're going to hear this term a lot. It basically just means moving your production to countries that are politically stable and are allies. Think of US companies expanding in Mexico or Vietnam instead of further away. And then there's reshoring, which is bringing manufacturing all the way back home. And here's the kicker. None of this is possible without massive investment in automation, robotics, and logistics tech to make domestic manufacturing competitive again. This table lays out the two sides of this massive shift perfectly. Over on the left, you've got industries like semiconductors and pharmaceuticals that are still pretty vulnerable because their production is so concentrated in just one or two places. But every risk creates an opportunity, right? So on the right, you see the massive potential this creates. The companies building the robots and automation systems, the ones developing smarter logistics software, and the ones building out domestic manufacturing capacity, they are all set to benefit enormously from this global trend. Okay, let's bring it all home. We've talked about the challenges of geopolitics and inflation. We've covered the opportunities in technology and supply chains.
Understanding all these forces is half the battle. Now for the final and most actionable section. What do you actually do with all this information? This is your 2026 investment playbook. So, based on everything we've talked about, these are the sectors that look positioned to thrive. In a world with rising geopolitical tension, defense and cybersecurity become essential. As we go through the energy transition and rebuild supply chains, both renewables and traditional energy are going to be critical. As countries bring manufacturing back home, you need to build infrastructure, factories, grids, the whole 9 yards. We've already talked about the explosive growth in technology, and finally, commodities. You need raw materials to build all of this stuff. See how each of these sectors is a direct response to the global shifts we just outlined? But, and this is a really, really important but, a smart portfolio isn't just about chasing the hot new thing. In a volatile world, you need an anchor. These are your stability assets. Broad index funds give you diversification across the entire market. Dividend-paying stocks from solid, established companies offer consistent income. Cash gives you safety and flexibility to jump on opportunities, and real estate can be a fantastic hedge against inflation. This is the foundation that lets you ride out the storms. And this chart gives you a simple visual for how it all fits together. You've got your slice for those winning growth sectors, balanced by the stability of broad index funds. You might add a little slice of alternative assets like gold or real estate investment trusts, or REITs, to hedge even more against inflation. And you always keep some cash for safety and opportunity. Now, the exact percentages will totally depend on your personal risk tolerance, but the guiding principle here is balance. You're building a portfolio that can not only grow, but can also endure whatever the world throws at it. And we're going to end the main content on this simple but powerful idea. It is so easy to look at all this change and feel intimidated, or, even scared. But the crucial thing to remember is that every single major shift in the global economy, every moment of volatility, it also creates incredible opportunity for people who are prepared and informed. It's easy to look at all this change and feel intimidated, but the single most important thing to remember is that every major shift in the global economy, every moment of volatility, also creates incredible opportunity for those who are prepared. When you understand the forces shaping the world, you gain the power to make smarter, calmer, more confident financial decisions. And that's exactly why we're here. Starting your financial journey doesn't have to be complicated, it just needs to be consistent. If this video helped you, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And if you're ready to take the next step, check out our next video about building long-term wealth the smart way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, here on Invest Education Hub, where we turn learning into lasting wealth.